rocking and rolling. Cool. Okay. Hey, this is Dan here at Studio Blue. This is Pilates All Levels. Only optional props you'll need: a mini ball, or a pillow could work, or nothing at all is a-okay. All that said, if anything doesn't feel good in your body, please don't push through any kind of bad pain, neck, joint, back, anything like that. And we're gonna get started on our backs today. So settle down, have your prop pretty close to you, right? If your neck when you're on your back generally feels a little tense or tight, you can have a towel underneath it, right? And start with your feet fairly wide and knees bent and toes fairly parallel, right? Whatever kind of feels natural. Open the arms out to a T, turn the palms to face up, and just let your knees come in towards one another. So they kind of knock in and just hold here for a couple breaths. And as you breathe in, start to expand the ribs. So from side to side, top to bottom, and front, and especially the back. And as you exhale, just get a sense of breathing out through the mouth and allowing your body to get a little bit heavier. And as you inhale, start to feel some length through your spine. So through the crown of the head, all the way down towards your tail. And as you exhale, let any tension on your muscles just kind of relax off your bones. Just 2 more full breaths. Last full breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then separate the knees. Feet are still pretty wide, stay shoulder distance. And on an exhale, just let the knees fall towards the left. So the feet essentially just stay on the ground. They just tip to one side. And on a breath, use your core, bring the ribs, pelvis, and knees to center. Let the knees fall to the other side. Just a really gentle twist. And again, on your exhale, move. So ribs, pelvis, knees, and then over to the other side. Now we're not forcing the knees to the ground by any means. We're just starting to wake up and mobilize the hips, the pelvis, and the spine. Right, and just start to kind of take note. How does the body feel? How do the hips feel? How does the back feel, especially at the beginning of the hour? And just finish off to your right or whatever your last side may be. Come back through center and turn the legs out slightly. Feet definitely shoulder distance, maybe even a little wider. And then arms can narrow slightly, keeping the palms up. So just at a low V. As you exhale, roll the hips to the sky, 1 vertebra at a time. So as the hips lift, feel the knees stretching over the centers of the feet. Feel the feet rooting into the ground, but have a sense of the front of the ribs kind of dropping down and softening. And just take a couple of breaths at the top of this, feeling the front of the thighs and hips open, the back of the thighs on. So glutes, hamstrings, back extensors. And have a sense of the knees really stretching out past your feet. So a sense of opening or tractioning out your spine so you get a little bit more length. And as you exhale, start to roll down and keep that sensation of kind of tractioning out as you roll down. Just take as many breaths as you need. Especially when you get down around kind of the base of the ribs and where they meet your lower back. And then let the pelvis open to neutral at the bottom. So there's that little bit of space. And then again, curl and roll up. Yeah. And just pause at the top, maybe take a breath or two. Feel a sense of weight through the front of the ribs, sense of length through the legs. And then a sense of the heels pulling a little bit towards your shoulders. So the back of your legs are more active. And then on your next breath, again, just roll down. Maybe a quarter of the way, stop, take an extra breath, and another couple of vertebra, and another couple of vertebra. All right, and then narrow the feet, grab your ball if you're using one and place it in between your knees. So your feet are going to be ball distance apart in parallel. Arms can come by your side, palms turn down, and gently press your arms into the ground, especially the upper arm bones. As you exhale, give that ball a squeeze, curl the tail, roll up. So starting with the tummy, and as the hips start to lift, starting to engage to the back of the glutes. Knees stretching forward, heels pulling towards you. And again, inhale at the top, notice how this feels different. And then exhale, roll it back down. So the inner thighs might give you a little more support. Having the feet closer together, you might feel more hip stretch, more thigh stretch. And again, just a couple more at your own time and own pace. Good. Now in your bridges, if you generally feel some back tension, just check that your feet aren't too far away from you. And if you're ever in this and you're like, oh, my knees just kind of feel tense, just make sure your feet aren't too close to you. And then the next time that you roll up, stay lifted at the top. And there's no rush, right? Just next time you're up, stay lifted. And keeping the knees where they are over the ankles, let your right hip drop down a little bit so your pelvis kind of rotates and angles towards the floor. And as you exhale, roll down that side. So that right hip stays a little dropped. And as you roll down, see if you can feel a little more stretch on the right side of your waist. As you touch the floor, let everything even back out. And then exhale, curl up through center. Just taking your time. Some weight in the shoulders at the top. Let the left hip rotate and drop. Check that the knees haven't really swayed too much. And as you exhale, keep curling the tail under a little bit to roll down. It's going to feel like you're rolling down more of that left side. Okay. Even things out at the bottom. One more each side, curling up through center. Pausing at the top. Right hip dropping. And then rolling down. Evening things out at the bottom. Rolling up through center. And then last side, letting the left hip drop a little bit. So pelvis, the ribs rotate slightly, and we roll down that side. This time as you touch the floor, keep the hips on the ground, pelvis neutral. Give that ball a little squeeze, take the hands together behind the head, and really narrow your elbows. So your elbows are pointing straight up to the sky, and then imagine literally they could reach towards the sky. So your shoulder blades widen. Drop the chin slightly, curl the head and the chest up as you exhale. And on this first one, just pause for a moment. Keep giving that ball a little squeeze, front of the breastbone heavy, pelvis still pretty neutral. On your next breath out, lower the chest, the shoulders, and the head. Take an inhale at the bottom. Exhale, nod the chin. Curl up, so feeling ribs glide down. Pelvis hasn't really changed. Inhale at the top. And then exhale, take it down slowly. Good. And again, your time, your pace, nodding the chin a little, curling up. Yeah, as you curl up, if you notice your hips or thighs get really tight, walk your feet a little bit forward. All right, take that breath, take it back down. Right? A couple more like this. Yeah. And then Eva, take those feet just a little forward for me. Yeah, there you go. Nice. So next time you curl up, pause at the top of that curl. Reach the arms forward once you hit the top. Palms face down, collarbones open. Take another breath in. Exhale, maybe curl up a little higher by folding into the breastbone. And on your next breath out, sweep the hands back, support the head and stay lifted. On the next breath out, give your ball a little squeeze and feel, right? Watch your waistline draw in a little bit. And then inhale, breathe wide as you release the ball slightly. And again, exhale, squeeze. Waistline draws in, feel like your hip bones are narrowing. And then inhale, breathe wide. Big exhale. Big inhale. With every breath in, you're really trying to get that breath into the back of the ribs. So allowing those middle back extensor muscles to start to relax a bit. Last one, exhale, squeeze. Keep your squeeze on your next breath. Lower the chest and the head down. Inhale at the bottom. Nod the chin slightly. Exhale, curl back up. Reach the arms forward. Collarbones open. Take another inhale. Exhale, keep reaching, maybe curl a little higher, keeping the shoulders soft. On the next breath out, circle the hands back, stay lifted. Take an inhale, and this time as you exhale, curl the tail slightly. So going into a really small imprint, and then inhale, let that release. And again, exhale, small imprint, and inhale, small release. Lower back might completely touch the floor, it might not, really just depends on your posture. And even if it's just the smallest amount of movement, can you feel your lower abs meeting your middle and your upper abs? And just check that it's not coming from just your hips, it's not coming from your butt, but it's coming from your stomach. Keep adding that little squeeze of the ball every time you tilt, and just notice if that increases the lower abs and the pelvic floor and all the things, right? Now find the place that's neutral, right? So the tail's heavy, there's a little bit of space to the lower back, and then lower the head and the chest back down. Nice. If you want to advance, imprint your lower spine, walk your feet towards you so your heels lift, and then eventually, right, with your abs on and supported, the legs float up tabletop. So knees and hips about 90 degrees. Give that ball a little squeeze and see if you can feel your inner thighs turn on. And then grab the back of your thighs with your hands. Lift your head and chest as you exhale. So elbows pretty wide. Maybe take just like a little rock with your upper body. And just make sure you're off the tips of your shoulder blades. Take a deep breath in. Find your center. Exhale slowly. Bring the hands around, right? All the abs are working. Stay here. And on your next breath out, again, give that ball a little squeeze, imagining you could lift your pubic bone to your belly button. Inhale, breathe wide. Exhale, little squeeze. Keep a sense of the elbows reaching kind of up towards the sky. And at any point, you can always peel this back to feet on the floor, right? You're still going to be working your core. Last 3, head relaxed into the hands. Last 2, maybe curling up a little higher if we started to fall back. Last 1. And then lower the head and the chest, hug the knees into the body. All right, if you had a prop, take it off to the side and just allow your legs to rock a little bit from side to side. Just massage out as the spine. Good. And then set the left leg to the ground, knee bent, foot flat, right leg tabletop. And then we're going to take our ball to the front of the right thigh, right? Left hand comes onto the ball. Now, if you don't have a prop like this, just take your hand onto your thigh. No worries. Right hand behind the head, pelvis neutral. Take an inhale, exhale, lift up through center and just hold at the top. And then put a little bit of resistance into that ball. So I'm pushing my hand into the ball. I'm resisting a little bit with my leg, but really I'm resisting with my core. So feel thigh kind of dropping down into the deep hip. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, lift your left shoulder blade, rotating slightly to your right. Yep. And then inhale back to center. So as you exhale, a little bit of pressure in the ball as you twist. So imagining left ribs, right, they're crossing down to right hip. Now, if you want to advance this, imprint through the lower spine, left leg can come up as well. And again, small twist, inhale to center. Right? For me today, my abs are completely shot. So keeping my left leg on the ground, I actually feel more of my abs and less of my back. So again, just pick whatever version feels good today, right? It's going to be different every day. Make sure the hips aren't rocking as you're twisting, right? So it's really the ribs moving, pelvis is staying pretty still. And regardless of where your legs are, your head's pretty heavy in your hand, right? Last 2. And last 1. And just lower everything down. Hug the knees into the body. Nicely done. Anybody not feel that? Okay, sweet. That one usually gets them on pretty quickly. All right, so second side. So knees bent, feet flat to start. Left leg floats up. So prop, ball, block, whatever it may be, to the front of your left thigh or just your hand, right? So my right hand's on the prop, left hand to the head. Pelvis pretty neutral as we exhale, curl through center. And just a little bit of resistance into that thigh, into that prop, feeling the deep abs. As you exhale, right, I'm looking at my left knee, lift the right shoulder blade, small twist, inhale back to center. And I'm thinking of my right leg rooting into the ground as I twist. So there's kind of an anchor into that right hip. Exhale, twist, a little bit of pressure, inhale down. And again, right, you can always float the right leg up. Just make sure that the work has gone more into the stomach and hasn't gone more into the neck or the back if you've up leveled, right? So stay with that target. Right? Small twist, right? Hips rooted, head heavy. Good. Really thinking of that upper spine rotating around the center of your body. Last one. Exhale, twist. And then come back through center, set the prop off to the side, hug both knees into your body. And you can hug the shins. And just find a place where your tailbone's on the ground. The lower back is pretty flat. And the legs are pulling towards your body. So how far can these legs pull in before your tail wants to lift? Once you find that place, feel your stomach draw in, lift the head and the chest up. All right, I'm using my arms to help, elbows fairly wide. And then as you exhale, you might just take your legs and your fingers towards the sky. And then inhale, bend the knees, drawing them back in towards you. And again, exhale, reaching, so waistline's in. Inhale, bend. Now you can place a ball or pillow behind your head. You can lower the head to the ground at any point if this feels like it's building too much neck tension. If you want to layer it up, take the limbs just a little further away from the midline of the body. Just be mindful that you're not going really quick. Take it slow, use your breath. And wherever you're moving, move from your core, right? So when you're pushing into your thigh or your ball, like that deep sense of core, feel that that's on here. And it doesn't matter how far your legs go down, right? It matters more where you're moving from. Last two, big exhales, big inhales. Yep. Nice. Last one. And come back to center, lower the head. If you had a pillow or a prop, take that pillow away. Settle the feet to the floor one at a time, knees bent, feet flat. And feet about hip distance, right? So inner hip distance, arms rest by your side, curl the tail, roll up into a bridge. Lengthening knees forward. Just really imagine I was pulling your thighs a little bit over your feet. Front of the ribs heavy. Put some weight in your left leg. And then as you exhale, float your right heel and or that whole right leg tabletop. And just notice if there's any big shift or rotation. Try to keep everything square. And then lower down, toe, ball arch heel, weight into the right. Exhale, left heel and or left leg tabletop. And then inhale, take it down with control. So just keep alternating for now. And this is one that if you had like a softball or a pillow, you could place it under your hips if you want a little bit more support. Right? If you don't feel your glutes just yet, check that you're not too high and you're not overly arched in your lower back. But there's really a sense of the front of the ribs heavy, your oblique wall, abdominal walls on. Things are pretty neutral. Yep. You can always take your hands under your hips for more support or hands behind the hips just to check in. Are my glutes firing, right? Do I feel some work there? And it's that standing leg, right? That's the one that's supporting you as that other leg lifts. Yeah. Finish off to your last side and then pause with both feet on the ground and maybe lifting the hips a little higher. So I'm not gripping or bearing into the back of my glutes. I'm just thinking of lengthening the knees out, the hips open, ribs heavy, hold. And on your next breath out, right heel can lift and lower, or again, right leg just floats up. And we're gonna stay on this side as we tap it down and lift it up. And you might play around with the breath. So I like to inhale up and exhale down, but it might feel more natural or you might feel more support doing the opposite. And on this one, it's fine. Check that your standing foot, the toes aren't gripping, the knees not falling out to the side, and that the back of the upper arm is pressing down a little bit. So there's a sense of the front of the chest and collarbones opening. Good. Last three. 2. And on the last one, I want you to lower this foot, but keep your foot pointed. So I'm I'm just kind of on my first toe and my second toe. Most of my weight is still in my left leg. And if you take your hands at your hips, right, we're really focusing on this left hip crease. I'm going to lower 3/4 of the way down, hinging through the hips, especially that left hip. Push into the left leg to lift back up, opening the front of the hip rather than overarching the back. Inhale, hinge down. Right, my right foot's on the ground, my right toes are on the ground, so I still have a little bit of support. Exhale, lift. You really should start to feel some heat building up in the back of the left gluteals. Everybody feeling that? Okay. And you have that other foot as kind of a kickstand and as some support. So if you need more support, you can always put a little more weight into it. Less support, right? There's more weight in that standing leg. Good. And then for Raven, feel the right hip drop down just a touch. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Last one, stay lifted. Set that right foot all the way down and just pause there. Take another full breath, maybe coming down a little bit as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, relift, right? Not to that place where you feel like your lower back is shearing or overarching, but you feel, right, glutes are on. I feel like I'm supported. And then opposite leg can float up, either heel up and down or whole leg up tabletop and then tap it down. And you'll just stay on the side. So lifting, hinging through the hip and lowering. Yeah, and keep right waistlines on in the background. Glute line, especially that standing one it's on. Yep. And then for Elizabeth, just feel that right thigh pull in slightly. Just find a little bit more of that right inner thigh. Yeah, there you go. Weight through that first ball of the foot. Yeah. And notice, right, is one leg fatiguing more than the other? Is this one fatiguing maybe quicker than the other one did? It might not. Yep. Just feel a sense of ease in the shoulders, the jaw. And at any point, you can always pause, reset, come back into it. Now, the next time that you tap down, keep the toes on the ground so the heel's lifted. Right? Majority of the weight is still in that standing leg. Hands can come to the hips, and we're creasing into the right hip. So the pelvis and the ribs come down together, say like halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way. And as you exhale, you're thinking of pressing into that right leg, lifting. Inhaling to lower. As you lift, it's a sense of the knee stretching over the front of the foot. So the hip opens, backside turns on, inhale, hinge down. Exhaling up, waistlines in, inhaling to hinge. Nice. Again, if you need a little more support today, put more weight in that standing leg, or the gesture leg rather, the left leg. Or maybe that foot is completely on the ground. So both feet are heavy. Last 3, just taking your time. 2. Last one, stay lifted, both feet heavy now. And then exhale, roll down. Just roll all the way down at the bottom. Hug your knees into your body. Beautiful. So this next one can be done with your hips on the ground, with your back on the ground, or settle the feet down. If you have one of these small balls, we can lift the hips and place it under our sacrum. So just somewhere in between the tailbone and the lower back. And then find an imprint. So feel the sacrum and the backside of the pelvis pressing down, waistline in, legs float up tabletop one at a time, and then take them to the sky, toes softly pointed. So the ball would work, a roller would work, just make sure it feels comfortable on your back. Now we're gonna draw the right leg in towards us, right? And you can always use one arm to do this, keeping one on the ground for support, or both arms, shoulders easy. Now the left leg is gonna start to lower, and we're only gonna go so far on this that you don't lose that imprint. So there's really a sense of stretching open through the front of the left hip while we draw back through the right leg. On your next breath out switch, left leg pulls towards you, so find that hamstring stretch. Waistline's in, this right leg is reaching and lengthening, right? Doesn't matter how far down you go, keep that imprint, and then exhale, switch. Keep a sense of the shoulders wide and your upper back wide, which is gonna give you a little bit more stability on this, right? And again, maybe one leg is helping to hug the leg in, maybe both. And if you want a sense of working more through the core and less of a hamstring stretch, your arms can both be by at your side. And then Heather, feel the back of the ridge dropping down just a little bit as you reach. Yeah. Couple more like this. Good. And then ending with the left leg drawing in, right leg lowering down, and then both legs hugging towards your body. Nice. And just give the back a little bit of a stretch there. And then last thing we'll do on this, heels together, knees open, toes open. So you're kind of like in a frog position or a turned out position. My waistline's in, my arms can rest by my sides. I exhale, I'm gonna reach my heels to the sky, thinking of hugging my inner thighs together and pulling my stomach down into that ball. As you inhale, imagine your heels are gliding down a wall as you bend the knees open. You might get a bit of a stretch into the front of the hips. And then again, as you exhale, waistline draws in, heels reach up. So working here as well. Couple more. Inhale, bend. Shoulders easy. Exhale, reach. One more like this. Inhale, bend, open. Exhale, reach. Now hold at the top, keeping your turnout on your next breath in. Let the legs open. And if you're pretty mobile on this, stop just a little bit short of your full mobility. Feel the waistline draw in and then use your inner thighs to pull the legs back together. So as we inhale, we open. Again, not so far that your pelvis starts to arc or hike. Exhale, pull. Good. A couple more like this. Inhaling to open, exhaling to pull. And again, if you're on more the mobile side, just stop a little short of your full mobility so you're learning how to put on the brakes a little bit. Last one, inhale to open. And then exhale, draw in. Good. Hug the right leg into the body. Actually, hug both legs into your body. The right leg is going to stay where it's at. The left leg can go down to the ground. So you might hug the back of the thigh into your chest, right? Keeping one elbow, maybe both elbows on the ground, but just make sure you feel pretty supported here. And as your left heel touches the ground, feel your left thigh bone spiral in. Keep that imprint to the pelvis, and then start to feel the left leg rooting down to the ground. So the front of this left hip gets a bit of a stretch. And just breathing in through nose, out through mouth. Just make sure you have that support coming from your core. Yeah, so the back is stable as the hip opens. And then left leg can hug in towards you, right leg can go down to the ground. Yeah. It might be the front of the shin, might be the back of the thigh. Just make sure you feel fairly balanced. Now feel your right leg start to rotate inward. Yeah, maybe flex the foot, keep the belly in, and imagine, right, that heel was reaching out a little bit longer and down into the ground. So the front of the right hip gets a bit of a stretch. Good. And on your next breath, draw the legs back into your chest one leg. Last time, take an inhale. And as you exhale, settle the feet down, take your prop away and off to the side. Nicely done. All right. So last thing we'll do here for a core, legs into your chest, no props needed on this. Legs float up to tabletop. We lift the head and the chest. And just notice how the hips feel after a little bit of mobility. So knees and hips about 90 degrees. We're up off of our shoulders. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hands slowly reach back. Stay lifted. And then look at your right knee as you exhale. Let your left shoulder lift slightly. And then maybe add on by stretching the left leg out long, keeping the waistline in. Inhale back through center. Look at the left knee, right shoulder lifts slightly. And then exhale to reach. Inhale back. Now we can also do this with the legs staying completely still. You can do this with the legs on the ground, bringing one leg tabletop, twisting towards it. So lots of different ways to play around with the classic crisscross or obliques, whatever you may call it, right? Bicycle and personal training, lots of different names. Take one more each side, eventually ending to your left. And then once you finish that side, lower everything down. Legs lengthen out to the ground, toes pointed. So we're gonna reach the arms overhead, take them out a little bit, and then arms back and find the place where the back of the ribs can be heavy towards the floor. So you might have to lift up a little higher or drop down a little lower. As you inhale, lift the arms, head and chest. Once the arms are parallel to the ground, exhale, roll up slowly. And this is where you might put a pad under your back or use weights in your hand or a band. Right? First one doesn't count. Right? Shoulders relaxed. Take an inhale. As you exhale, start with your pelvis. So let your pelvis start to roll back. And then, right, your lower spine, your middle spine. Keep a sense of weight in the back of the legs. And we just roll through the spine, right? One vertebra at a time. Arms eventually reach overhead. Ribs still pretty heavy. Inhale, arms head chest. Exhale to roll. Yeah, a little bit of a stretch forward, shoulders about over the hips. And then take it back, right? And just keep checking in with your shoulders if the neck isn't trying to do too much work here. Right? And if you find that as you go up and down, the feet do not want to stay on the ground today, you can always roll halfway back, pause, right, wherever the feet are still grounded, and then start to roll forward again. A-okay. Band around the feet would also help. Light weights in hand would help. So lots of different ways. Try to use your breath and as softly as you can, as smoothly as you can, roll up. Last one. The next time that you come up, stay lifted, right? Restack, sit tall. Once you hit the top, bend the knees. So grab the back of the thighs once you're here. If you have a ball and want a little bit more support for your hips, you can place it in between the knees, right? Block would work as well. Once you have the back of the thighs, relax the shoulders, sit tall. Root down to your sit bones. On your exhale, give your prop a little squeeze, curl your tail, and roll back. All right? So feel that your weight is rocked behind your sit bones. Your lower back is a little bit rounded, and your shoulders are just kind of easy. And then you're squeezing that ball, deep inner thighs, deep abs. Now, on your next breath out, just the right hand is going to come back to the head. Right? That's the only thing that moves. You should feel your waistline draw in. Inhale, bring it back to the thigh. And then again, set your stomach, set your ball, left hand to the back of the head. And then inhale back. Good. So you want to feel not only your deep abs, but side of the ribs, front of the ribs, right? Obliques. Everything's working here to stabilize. Good. Everybody feeling this? Okay. So if you want a little bit more, next time the right hand goes back, keep it there. On your next breath out, left arm goes back, keep it there. Right arm goes forward, left arm goes forward. Rest for a moment, reset, maybe come up higher or lower. And then again, exhale, right? Just your own time, your own pace. Setting core, not back, left. And then right, left. And just one more like that. So setting core, right? Make sure we're not gripping. Right, left, right, left. Nicely done. Feet together, open the knees, fold forward. Oh yeah. So there's no missing that one. Good. So as you fold forward, you might give your feet a little bit of a massage. Give them some love. We probably rarely massage our feet. Good. Maybe taking the feet a little bit closer towards the hips. Feeling the inner thighs and hips get a little bit of a stretch. Nice. Just easy in the shoulders, easy in the head. And then start to restack. All right. So this next one, same type of setup as before, and you could use the prop or not. Either way is fine. I'm going to start without. Feet about inner hip distance, have the back of my thighs. I'm just going to roll back a little bit off my pelvis, right? Waistline's in. So imagine it's that same waistline you felt when your hand went back, and then just hinge a leg up. So hinge a foot a little bit off the ground, keep the low waistline in, and then bring the other leg up. And then think of pushing very lightly, push your thighs into your hands so you feel a little bit of the back of the thighs kick in to offload your hips. Now maybe feet together, heels together, knees open, if the hips feel particularly grippy, or maybe thighs together, right? Keeping that sense of pushing thighs in the hands and drawing your waistline in. Now, as long as you're not on a tile floor, you know, with a really, really, really thin mat, this next one should work. So on your inhale, we're gonna round back to about tips of the shoulders, and then roll up. Try to put on the brakes with your abs. So again, as we inhale, try to relax into it, roll back. The space in between knees and chest, feet and hips won't change. We rock back up. Now keep going with this. And for whatever reason, if you're rolling, you're like, oh my God, this is the most torturous thing I've ever done. It is killing my back. Don't do it. All right, you can always stay lifted. You can rock back 1/4 of an inch and rock back forward, right? If you want to play around with advancing, next time you're up, lengthen your legs, grab somewhere towards your ankles, and then lift your chest. So your back's going to be a little bit straighter on this. Your back extensors will be on. And then round through pelvis, low spine, all the way back. Legs and arms stay straight. Exhale, roll back up, lift the chest at the top. So open leg rocker. And again, right, there's a little bit of that curl. It starts with your waistline as we roll back. Make sure you're breathing. Bring it up, pause. One more, right? So this should put a smile on your face. Inhale back. And up, pause at the top. Bring the thighs together. Walk your hands down just below the knees. Use your arms, so elbows wide. Use your arms to lift your chest a little. Feel your waistline draw in. Now feel, right, deep hip, right? Deep thigh muscles, they're working here as well. And then maybe your arms reach forward without losing the height of your legs. We hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, breathing, 3, 2, rest. Feet down to the ground, butterfly the knees open. Nicely done. And just breathing into that. Good. Again, you can massage the feet and then restack, sit tall. All right, so if you have a ball, just make sure it's fairly close by. So it's gonna come somewhere near us. Come onto your side facing me. It doesn't matter which side, just come on to a side. I don't know what happened to our music. Okay, it should come back. It's having a case of the Mondays. So we're down on one side. Props close by. You can use it as a pillow. You can have your arm bent underneath your head, or just whatever feels comfortable. So the bottom leg is going to bend about tabletop. So bottom hip about 90 degrees, bottom knee about 90, and the top leg is just going to reach out long. Top hand can come onto the hip. Hike this hip up a little bit to start, and then find a place where if you lengthen it down, you're not overly arched through your lower ribs, you're not overly hiked, you're somewhere kind of in the middle where you feel like your waistline's on, your obliques are on. And then lift the top leg about hip height. And just pause here. Relax the foot as much as you can. Feel some tone in the side of the glute line. And on your next breath out, this leg is going to lift up. It doesn't have to go very high, maybe a couple inches above the hip, staying parallel. And as you inhale, lower down towards the floor. So again, as you exhale, a little bit of waistline, this leg lifts from the side of the glutes, and then inhale, bring it down. And again, not right or wrong to have a pointed foot or a flex foot. Just for today, try to keep it a little relaxed, stay fairly parallel. Not overly arced, not overly rounded. Yeah. Exhaling up. Just working through the side glutes. And then top arm really anywhere you want it. If you want to challenge your balance, maybe it comes onto your hip or just kind of reaches onto your thigh. Next time you lift up, pause. Start to circle that leg back, down, forward, and up. And as you circle, really get the sense that your thigh is moving around the center of the hip joint, right? I'm going to get our tunes back on. I promise I'm not texting. Let's see. Come on. Good. Last one, and then reverse your circles. Yep. Yeah, just right. Try to keep the foot pretty relaxed as you circle. Yep. Check that the pelvis isn't rolling back in space, but you're pretty centered. Yeah. And for Heather, let that leg go back a little further. Yep. There you go. Last two. Take your time, last one. Nice, and then let that leg lower all the way down. Rest for a moment. So we're gonna bring both legs together. All right, so knees are stacked, feet are stacked. Top arm to the sky or behind your head, right? Behind the head's a little bit more supported, to the sky is gonna give you a little more chest stretch. As you exhale, we're gonna start to let the head and then the ribs roll back, right? You can support your head with your bottom arm. If you're using pillows, just make sure the pillows continue to support your neck as you roll back. And my ribs are dictating the movement. I'm not dictating through the pull of my arm, right? That's kind of the secondary. Hold there into your stretch as you exhale, rotate back through center. So feeling obliques, deep stomach. Allow that arm to lower, and then again, top arm can lift the head, the ribs, and then the arms start to roll back. Upper spine, middle spine, getting some movement. Good. And then using your stomach, slowly come back through center. Yep. And again. This next one, rolling back, holding. And just holding there for an extra breath or two. Hips fairly stacked, right? They don't have to be perfectly stacked, but fairly stacked, a little bit of waistline. And on your next breath out, bring everything back to center. Nicely done. Prop yourself up onto your bottom forearm. Nice, and just adjust the legs so they're a little bit further back in space. Your feet are in line with your sit bones. Top arm is underneath your lower waistline, right? Sink down for a moment and then push into your bottom forearm and lift. So feel the shoulder roll back. Feel some work under your lower armpit and rib line. And then maybe lift the hips. Hold. Feeling again, not just shoulder work, but some waistline work and bottom of the glutes. So pushing the legs into the ground. And maybe the top arm lifts, eyes stay forward, or you can look down to your forearm, slowly lower the hips back to the floor, set your shoulder, set your waistline, press into the limbs, lift back up. Imagine you're stretching your fingers to the sky. Again, pause, slowly lower. One more like this. So setting, lifting, maybe stay here, take the top leg long, it goes slightly forward, toes towards me, sole of the foot on the ground. And if you want to take it a step further, the bottom leg can straighten as well. It's behind the top leg. The waistline's in. Everything in that bottom waistline is working. So shoulder, armpit, rib line, hip line. Hold for 2 more breaths. In through nose, out through mouth. And on your next breath out, slowly let everything come down and switch sides. Come all the way down. We'll do it all again. So bottom leg is tabletop, top leg is long. Come on, there we go. Music. All right. So if you had the support of your ball or a pillow before, you can use it here. Bottom arm can be long, top leg long, bottom knee about 90 degrees, bottom hip 90. So on this one, right, lengthen the top hip down, let it hike up. Find the place in the middle so you're not overly dropped down through the hip, you're not overly hiked up. Waistline's in, exhale, lift the top thigh, relax through your foot, and then on your next breath out, lift up a little higher, maintaining parallel. Inhale, bring it down. And again, exhale, lift. Good. Inhale, bring it down. And exhale, lift. Good. And there's the lift component, there's the moment of pause component, and then the slow control down against gravity. Right? Yeah, just keep checking in with the foot that it stays fairly relaxed. It'll kind of feel like you have a droopy foot. And just notice if that changes the effect on the side of the glute work. Check that every time that leg goes up, the whole pelvis isn't hiking. And then the next time you lift, start to circle back, down, forward, up. So find that full circle, right, from thigh bone where it meets the pelvis, right? Try to keep them fairly slow, right? Move with a really kind of deep breath. And if that breath is really kind of deep and long and slow, right, the movement's going to be a little slower. Good. Sense of the core is still in, right? Not just the front of the abs, but the sides, the back extensors, everything's working together on this. Yep. And then Alexis, as you circle, go back just a little further and drop all the way down to the ground. So find that bottom phase. Yeah, there you go. Yep. And then the next time you're centered, reverse. Yeah. Right. And just find that full, right? There's a back component, a front, an up, and a down, right? Your toes almost touching the ground. Yeah, waistline in gently, right? You're not gripped, you're not just bearing down. Shoulders easy, jawline easy. Nice. Last two. And last one. As that leg comes down, stack the legs together. Right, so again, knees about 90, hips about 90, top hip still long, bottom arm where it's at or it supports the head, top arm to the sky. And then allow your head and your ribs to start to roll back. Right, so I'm not just pulling back with my arm, I'm letting my arm come back because my ribs are rotating and I'm actively stretching out through my fingers. Right, breathe in. As you exhale, slowly come back. And again, arm lift, start to rotate. And the nice thing about having the legs a little bit forward on this, it's going to really help stabilize the lower back. So the lower back isn't going to be able to move too much on this, which is going to put more movement hopefully into your upper back. Now, if your upper back is on the tighter side, you might not have as much movement as we typically do with the legs set up further back. So just be mindful, right? Move with your breath. The next time you go back, hold and take a couple breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, right? Feeling that reach through the fingers, that active stretch through the chest. And then from your stomach, from your core, rotate back to center. Bring the legs a little bit further behind you, right? So feet in line with sit bones, then prop yourself up onto your bottom forearm. Yeah. Top hand to the ribs, sink down a little, and then push into your forearm, lift the ribs. So feel that there's some work, there's some activation, not only the back side of the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, but under here. Hips can lift. Yeah, and ribs are just settled, right? Not overly rounded, not overly arched. Top arm can go towards the sky. And then slowly just take the hips down. Check in that the shoulder isn't starting to hike up like this into your ear. And again, as you exhale, root through your limbs, reach through your fingertips to bring it up. And then slowly bring it down. All right, again, set, lift, and lower. And the next one we can add on, right, if we want. So next time you lift up, pause. Top leg can go forward, toes forward, sole of the foot on the ground, right? Maybe stay here, right? So this is your static hold. Or maybe that bottom leg just sweeps back, right? Kind of hooks into your bottom, or your top foot rather. So your inner thighs are on, your hips are still stacked, waistline's on, especially the lower waistline. Keep rooting into the limbs, keep breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and then lower down on 1. Flip onto your stomach on this one. So all the way onto your belly. All right. So your arms are going to be palms face down, elbows on the ground, forehead on the ground. Legs as wide as you need them for your lower back to feel kind of relaxed and comfortable. And I want you to find a place where my elbows are on the floor, and I'm going to start to pull them back. And how far can they go back before they want to lift up? Right? And that's going to be your starting place. So it might look different from you or your neighbor. Anchor the pubic bone, lift the tummy, and then start to peel the head up. Chest follows, shoulder blades follow. They start to draw in and down. Elbows stay on the ground. We're just coming up through the upper spine and the middle spine. Hold for a breath, and then take it down slowly. Yep. And again, right, set your stomach, a little bit of glute in the background. Start to peel head up. So looking slightly forward, chest follows, shoulder blades react. And then hold here, try to lighten the weight in your arms so you feel more of your upper and middle back extensors doing the work than your arms. Keep the stomach in, slowly take it down. Good. And again, one more like this. Start to peel up, feel a sense of the shoulders dropping down slightly, right? Hold there for a breath. And on your next breath out, maybe the arms float off the ground, maybe just the hands, maybe the hands and the elbows. If they have, feel that this has gone more into your upper and middle spine rather than your lower spine. And then take everything down to the ground. Good. Set your stomach, set your pubic bone. A little bit of deep glute. Start to peel up, hands heavy. Shoulders start to roll back a little bit and down. And if this feels kind of tight or weird or achy in the shoulders, you can always take your hands a little wider. On your next breath out, set your stomach, set your glutes, float the arms. Feel the back of the shoulders and the shoulder blades have to activate a little bit more, and then lower back down. We'll do just one more like this. So peeling up, right? Everything's set. Right? Tummy set a little bit more on your next breath out. Arms can float up. Now, if you want to advance, stay here, right? So the base of my breastbone is still heavy. I feel my upper spine. On an exhale, maybe the legs float up. So the front of the hips are opening, back of the gluteals are on. On your next breath out, reach your right arm out to the side to a T. Feel a little bit of your left waistline have to work a little harder. Pull back in as you inhale. Exhale, left arm reaches out to the side. Inhale, pull back to where you started. So as you reach, keep the waistline lifting. Definitely right, upper back, middle back, and lower back is stabilizing with your core. Just shouldn't be the star of the show. Keep alternating from side to side, maybe starting to reach a little bit forward rather than out to the side. Inhaling in, exhaling a little forward. And then you can start to advance by reaching kind of forward and overhead, turning the palm in, and then pulling back in. So as you reach, as this arm gets further away from your body, your core has to react, right? It's going to have to work a little bit harder to support you. And to your left, keep your breastbone heavy on the ground. Once you finish that left arm, let everything rest. Hands under the forehead, bend the knees, relax your shoulders, and then windshield wiper the feet from side to side. Just dropping them back and forth. So allowing that rotation in the hips, the pelvis, and the spine to happen. Nice. All right. And then bring the legs back to center. Hands under the shoulders, push back child's pose. Right, knees together, it'll give you a little bit more of a spine stretch. Knees open, a little bit more of a hip stretch. Wherever you're at, just let your arms be heavy. Breathe into it. Let that whole back line open up. And then shift forward onto hands and knees. Come all the way to the top edge of your mat. Maybe hands on the wooden floor, maybe hands on your mat. All right, wooden floor will be a little more supported. Fingers spread, knees under hips, toes tucked. Inner elbows slightly forward. Push into your arms and feel your upper back widen. Feel your core muscles lift, and then take one leg at a time back into plank, feet and thighs together. Now, this can be knees down plank, this can be forearm plank, or any combination. But keep a sense of your waistlines lifting. Your feet are rooting down, your arms are rooting down. So it's really full body. If you look at your toes, make sure the feet aren't rolled out. You have some nice even extension through the first toes. With every breath out, feel your lower waistline lift. Feel your hips narrow. And on your next breath, settle the knees. Again, push back, child's pose, resting pose. Good. And on your next breath, rise up, hands and knees. Again, set your shoulders, set your upper back, set your core. And then step back one at a time. Yeah, maybe same plank, right? Hands and feet, maybe it's forearms, right? Any combination is fine. So with every breath out, feel your waistline, your center line lifting. And there's a sense of your heart pulling a little bit forward and a sense of your tailbone drawing a little bit back, right? Keep breathing. For 3, eyes are just slightly forward, right? Just a natural curve to the neck. Last 2. Last full breath. And then down dog or child's pose, your choice. Nice. Take a big inhale wherever you're at. As you exhale, let it out. Nice. And then if you're in down dog, walk into forward fold. If you're in child's pose, make your way to forward fold. Nothing fancy, just roll up through your spine. So eventually just coming up to standing. Lovely, lovely. All right, if you'd like more balance challenge, stay on your mat, right? Less challenge, come away from your mat. Good work. Okay, 1 foot wherever you are, 1 foot in front of the other. So again, squishy mat, harder, wooden floor, a little easier. 1 foot in front of the other, shift your weight forward and shift your weight back. Find the place where you feel both feet pretty centered on the ground. Yeah, and then just kind of relax the shoulders. Legs are straight but not locked. Waistline's in gently. The shoulders are just kind of easy, right? So you should feel a little shake starting to happen in your feet, in your lower legs, right? Your shins. So allow that to happen. Maybe close one eye, maybe close both eyes. Just notice, right, what happens to your balance. Keep breathing smoothly. And if your eyes are closed, imagine you're kind of just looking straight out through the center of your eyes. Big inhales, big exhales. Yeah, and then open your eyes. Step your back leg forward. Just a really easy way to work on balance, shifting forward and back. Right? Okay, and find the centers of your feet. Arms can always open. You can always hold on to something. Right? Posture tall. Once you find your center, maybe close one eye. Maybe close both. Keep breathing smoothly and softly. Stay easy in the body. Right? If you fall a little bit, that's fine. Just catch yourself. Open your eyes if they were closed. Step your feet back to hip distance. Parallel-ish. Take the shoulders up and back. Just a couple like that. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, together and back. Yeah, and then just reverse them. Together, up, forward, down. Good. And then find a place where your shoulders, they're just kind of sitting right on top of the ribs, shoulder blades just sitting on top of the ribs. On your inhale, root into your feet, get a little bit taller through the crown of your head. As you exhale, nod your chin, start to roll down. As you roll down, bend the knees a little, as much as you need. Ooh, and just let things be heavy at the bottom. So as you breathe in, feel a sense of your ribs expanding. Maybe there's a little bit of a sense of them lifting. And as you breathe out, let things get a little heavier. Couple more like that. So breathing in, breathing out. And on your next breath out, bend the knees a little more, root into your feet and start to roll up. And keep that sense of weight at your midfoot, that lift up through the inner thighs. Legs start to re-engage. Pelvis comes back to neutral. Ribs to neutral, collarbones open. And at the very top, close your eyes and literally imagine if you could root into your feet and lengthen up through the crown of the head. See if you can find a little bit more length. Take a big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Try to lock that posture in for the rest of the day. And we'll leave you there today. Thanks for playing. And if you have any questions, let me know. We can square everything off. We can put it away. That's all she wrote. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to turn this off.